Welcome to No Food Podcast, episode 179. I'm one of your hosts, I'm Tyler.
I'm Mike.
We're back again. Officially 4 games into the Eastern Conference Finals and 3 games into the Western Conference Finals.
Yes.
Which one would you like to start with? Then we're going to get right into that. We're going to talk about the Lakers coaches, and that's probably it for today. For those wondering what we're going to talk about today. So which one you want to start with?
We got to start with West since, 3 games in, the series has essentially been decided. I mean, it's been decided. Yeah. Which team do you want to start? Let's start with Dallas. We got to.
Yeah, at the time of this podcast, for those listening, it is Tuesday. So we've seen the first 3 games of the series. We actually wanted to go after game 2. But we kind of wanted to see how it was going to play out. So here we are after game 3. And you said start with who?
Dallas. I'll make the point initially is I really wanted to wait because I was pretty confident it would be 2-1.
Yeah, back in Dallas. Yeah.
And we kind of differed how we saw game 2. But I thought the things Dallas did well in game 2 would translate, which isn't very complicated.
Yeah.
But I thought it would translate like it did in the Phoenix series, it did in the Utah series, and it didn't at all.
Right. So, okay. So game 1, let's start with game 1.
Okay.
Game 1, the Warriors punched Dallas in the mouth, as they say. I would say, right? Dallas was kind of coming off a high from the Phoenix series, a long series, and they run into Golden State, who you could argue was challenged last series. I don't really think they were challenged that much, but tested a little bit. Golden State won the first game. There's really nothing else to talk about, right? With that, just a regular Golden State win.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of guys played well for Golden State.
Yeah,
that was I think the biggest difference in this series and why it's kind of looked easy is in the others, like Memphis, Poole had to win games for them.
Yeah,
you remember that first Memphis game? They don't win that if Poole doesn't get 30.
Right.
And then Clay heated up. Steph had big games.
Yeah.
They got multiple guys stepping up coming into this series.
Steph and Clay both for the most of Memphis series played pretty bad. At least shot bad.
Yeah, definitely shot bad.
And they had way more turnovers in the Memphis series. They had more turnovers in one of the Memphis games than they've had this whole series so far. 3 games against Dallas. So game 2, Dallas is up by 19 at one point.
It wasn't. I felt like it was 21, but yeah, about right. 20-point game.
It was a 20-point game. Yeah, definitely. Looked like a blowout. And then third quarter, the Warriors, I think, are officially the best third quarter team in the league now. You think?
Yeah, probably.
Since LeBron, all LeBron's teams have been terrible lately.
Yeah.
They come out the third quarter, come all the way back, rally. Fourth quarter, they take the dub. So in that game, what do you think Dallas did well? You said you thought that would carry over. What did you think they did well?
I thought
Golden State, by the way.
Obviously. So that whole first half, they're 15 of 27 from 3. So obviously it was a big reason why they were up. But the thing for me is, and this is where I've criticized the other teams Dallas played, it's okay, now their guys are shooting well. You got to do something different.
Right. Different from
we can't just we got to run Bullock off the line if he's making shots today. We get Finney Smith, same thing.
Oh, you're talking about the defense needs to do something different against Dallas.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
And I thought Golden State was the first team that didn't overreact to Dallas shooting the ball well.
Mm-hmm.
Because
what happened, that was in the second game?
Yeah, in the second half, you come out of halftime, and this is where we kind of disagreed. I thought I thought Dallas was still getting a lot of good shots. They spent 12 minutes getting a lot of good shots, not a single good layup.
That's true.
Not a single easy like breakdown that led to a easy basket.
So I'll say how we disagreed. To me, that second half, I think Dallas was more confident in how they shot in the beginning. It may have thought they were hotter than they were.
Yes.
Because I do think Golden State played better defense. I think they still got makeable shots, but they weren't open shots anymore. Like Bullock can hit shots with hands in his face, but in the first half, there was no hands in his face. Second half, guys were getting out there more. There was more hands. There's more help. So I think there were still makeable shots, but I don't know if they were open anymore like they were in the first half. And that's where I think Golden State did pick up better. And that, well, we'll get to the next game, but I think that I thought would carry over better because, and I don't even know if they figured out a strategy to rotate better, but I saw that the rotation was a lot better in the second half on the threes.
Yeah, it honestly looked like it somebody gave a big speech at halftime. I don't know who it was, probably Draymond, but I'm sure Steve does it from time to time. I'm sure Iguodala does it. But they came out, and it's like you said, it wasn't anything specific you could tell they did differently. But now we're flying to Bullock instead of running at him.
Yeah.
And I thought, again, the energy, like you pick up the energy, you don't overreact to what Dallas is doing well. And in the second half, Finney Smith didn't become anything more than a spot-up threat. Bullock was a spot. All their guys remained spot-up threats. And that's what I criticize the other teams is as the series goes on, Finney Smith is now like attacking closeouts and getting layups. Bullock, same thing. Like that's the only way you make Dallas look elite is that you overreact to their shooting.
Right.
Golden State stuck with it. They knew they were better. They woke up. They executed what they know how to do. And they've proven that they're the best team in the league.
Another way you could look at how the teams overreact to their shooting is I think a lot of times teams collapse more on Luka. I think Phoenix would take guys, 4 guys in the paint to collapse on Luka versus Golden State say, okay, we only need 2 guys to stop Luka from getting the basket. And if he gets it on 2 of us, he just does. So I think instead of the closeouts being not as good, I think they just had a shorter closeout. I think guys weren't running from all the way from the paint to get to Bullock at 30 feet or, Finney Smith from the corner. We're not running from the free throw line to get all the way out there. Like Phoenix did a lot of times where CP would get taken into the paint and have to run way out to get to Finney Smith or Bullock.
Or Phoenix's bigs had to do that a lot, and they obviously aren't mobile enough.
Exactly. I think Looney and Draymond, for the most part, stayed home when Luka drove, or they let Wiggins just, if he scores on Wiggins one-on-one, it just is what it is.
Yeah.
I think that's what they were doing a lot better too in that second half. And then we get to the game.
It's really like the game 2 third quarter is really kind of the definitive point of the series being over to me.
Yeah.
Because beyond Dallas's shooting situation, I'm watching the Warriors, and every time Looney's open, he gets the ball.
Yes.
Every time.
Yep.
And he sucks. Like,
to be honest, if they give those the award for this series, I'd give it to Looney right now.
Like an MVP of the series kind of thing.
Yeah, they're doing that this season.
That's interesting. I'm interested to see. Wiggins to me is the clear-cut MVP.
It would be Wiggins because he did more, but as far as
his good play like elevated the rest, like what Poole was doing with his buckets before, Wiggins did with like the everything all around.
All right, you're right. You're right. So let's get to game three. Game three, they were back in Dallas. I think we were both pretty much expecting Dallas to at least come close to winning this game,
Yeah,
if not win this
I
game.
really thought that.
Because I picked Warriors in 6, you picked Warriors in 7.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we both assumed Dallas was gonna win probably this game. Um, so like you said, with the third quarter of game 2, this entire game looked like that third quarter, pretty much.
Yeah, I don't even know where to start with game 3, to be honest. Game 3, finally, I watched a Dallas Mavericks basketball game, and I saw Luka's weaknesses at least attempt to, like, the other team was attempting to expose them.
Yeah.
And I don't think they did like an incredible job.
No, they
I think
didn't.
a lot of it was more him kind of being hesitant or him not being like perfect. But
The job they did looked better with how bad everyone else shot. Because if
yeah,
Bullock makes 6 threes, he had 6 open threes that he could have made. If he made 6 of those, then I don't know if we're saying that they did a great job, but he didn't. So the thing is, and let's be honest, there's a lot of players in the league that if you let them take as many shots as they want every game, they can get 40. There's a lot of guys. If they let them take as many shots as they want and they get fouled as much as Luka does, they can get 40. So the thing is, I think the Warriors went into this game saying, look, let's not let Luka get 40. And if someone else shoots us out the gym this game, it just is what it is, because you have to pick one or the other. Like we mentioned with Harden and the Rockets, what is it? 2017 Rockets, was that his best year with the Rockets?
the CP year, right? The up 3-2 against Golden State.
Yeah, whatever year was his best year there, his MVP year.
Yeah.
It was him, or everyone else might shoot you out the gym. It's either going to be Harden getting 50 or everyone else can combine for 80.
Yeah.
And that's kind of
Dallas is
how
similar in that way.
they are. Yeah. And I'm not saying Luka plays like Harden, but how they win is how that Rockets team would win most of the time. So similar to Harden, you cut off one side, make him go one side or the other, and you force. When they made Luka kind of shade one way, which was to his left in this particular game, for the most part, you cut off half of the court of shooters. Also, that's one reason why I scream to force him left, is because if you force him one way, the only shooter he can pass to is on the left side. Yep. And that pass to the other side is a ridiculous pass, which he had like 3 turnovers off that in this game. So if I'm driving left, he gets all the way under the basket. He can only kick it out to that left corner. And that happened to be Bullock in this game, who happened to go 0 for 10. So Warriors played fantastic defense in this game to me.
I know. And they have shown how limited Dallas is.
Yeah.
Which again is an embarrassment to the rest of the conference, that it took. Dallas was clearly a limited team coming in.
Yeah.
You know, anybody who was high on them was only because of Luka.
Right.
There's no other reason to be confident about them beating anybody in a series.
Right.
And they went all the way to the conference finals, and they had people questioning whether they were as good as the Warriors.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and the thing is, I think Steve Kerr probably went in there and said, look, you think they can outshoot us? Honestly, does anyone on this team think they can outshoot us? All right, then they can't beat us, because that's how they beat everyone else. They can't beat us like that.
Yep.
Just plain and simple. So, yeah, man, Wiggins and Looney, they're definitely by far the 2 biggest impacts for the Warriors. Looney has played fantastic this series. He's been all over the boards. He's having his career high. I mean, and got like his second highest scoring too in this series.
Bro, he's made Dwight Powell like unplayable.
Yeah.
And I never even pictured Dallas getting to a point like that where their big man who only plays like 20, 30 minutes is unplayable.
Right. Yeah.
You know what it is? I really like how self-aware Jason Kidd has been with Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought he made the best point about how they died from 3 in game 2.
Yeah.
And it just kind of like from hearing him say that, thinking back to every playoff game they've had, they've lived or died by the 3.
Yeah. But
It's not surprising.
that says a lot about his coaching, because why would you do that against the Warriors? What, just like I said, Kerr probably said, why would he go in there thinking that they can outshoot the Warriors?
But the problem is Dallas is limited. What else are
Right.
they going to do? I mean, you look at this game,
Yeah, I
this
guess so.
last game, for those who didn't, or maybe just didn't see the box score, Dallas's 3 ISO guys combined for 86 points.
Mm-hmm.
That's big 3 great game numbers.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a close game at any point.
Right. Right.
Like they got destroyed because even though their 3 ISO guys went off, they didn't really get anything from anybody else.
And most of Luka's points were at the line, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, a lot of those guys, Luka specifically, passed up a lot of layups, a lot. And obviously some of them were on the left side, but he had some right side layups that he just didn't take, trying to kick it out. And guys were getting there. They were getting on the passes and they were getting to the shots. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I don't take game 3 as what's going to be the rest of the series. I think I say more of game 2 is indicative of what would be probably the closeout game of this series, whether it's tonight or another night. I would probably say game 2 is probably more what I more shows how the Warriors will beat them. Because I mean, people are hating on Bullock, but I mentioned to you off air, but Bullock would not be playing if Hardaway was there. So, and they're hating on Bullock like as if Bullock is a elite starter throughout the NBA and just stunk it up. He's not a starter. He's really not even a rotation guy for most teams.
And he, to his credit, he's had a great playoff run.
He has.
But like I'm watching him brick every shot, and I wasn't shocked at all.
No.
I'm sitting there, I'm like, he's off. He's due for an off night the way he's been playing.
Right.
So
right.
That to me, the fact that he's getting all this criticism because he couldn't make a shot, I mean, you could go around, every roster has that problem.
Yeah.
So that was bizarre to me.
People saying that, let's see how much Bullock plays the start of next season when Hardaway is healthy, and then see how many shots you expect him to make after that. He may play 8 minutes a game. Yeah. Hardaway is someone who usually plays the whole game a lot of times.
He does play a lot.
So back to Wiggins real quick. I think Wiggins' defense was showed really high IQ for him. I think it showed elite athleticism. Obviously, I mean, that's nothing new for us. But I'm surprised that he was able to put so much effort on defense and still be a really effective player on offense. I was impressed with that. And I'm not saying that he couldn't do that before, but him doing it on this level against Luka, and for him to be basically strapping him for the most part, and then come down and be able to dunk on him too. That's not something Wiggins normally doesn't put together that great of games.
Exactly. And I think Steve, to me, it seems like Steve has definitely talked to him about being more aggressive.
Yeah.
Because he has looked, I forgot which game you made the point, but you said he's killing the guys that shouldn't be guarding him.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really all they need from him. Besides the shots he already takes, like
right,
the mismatches he's got to take advantage of. And to me, he hasn't been lights out shooting the ball from inside or out, but he's
No, not
aggressive.
crazy.
He's not settling just because everybody else is. You know what I mean? He's trying to score in different ways.
Yeah. His spot up threes have been impressive to me, but off the dribble, he's just, maybe even below his normal average as far as his scoring.
Yeah.
Minnesota times. But yeah, I think it must have been game 1 because I don't think it was game 2. I think it was game 1. But every Brunson switch, he
I think
scored.
he did have a good game 1. Yeah.
Yeah, every Brunson switch, he scored. Every Powell switch, he scored. Every time Kleber got switched out on there and he was at the 3-point line, he went to the basket. If he didn't score, he got fouled, he kicked it out, whatever. And really, from all your role players, that's what you really, really want. When you have superstars like Steph on your team, and that's all Luka needs out of Brunson. That's what Brunson does best. Brunson takes everyone who can't check him, and that's it.
Takes a lot of guys who can check him too.
Yeah.
But
he scores when they can't check him, and I could see in his eyes, he thinks I have to score this. This guy can't guard me. I have to score this. Yeah.
I just, man, that game 3 Wiggins, Warriors might not lose another game till they're holding the fucking trophy if he's playing like that.
I'm with you.
And where the 3 contend, like Dallas doesn't have this to me, which is where I think they lack. Like, yeah, Brunson could get you 30, but he could beat Dallas. He can't beat Golden State. I mean, Utah. He could beat Utah. He can't beat Golden State.
Right.
Like, he can beat a Minnesota, but he can't beat a Memphis by himself.
Right.
So to me, the other 3 contenders have guys who, if they play at their best, the team essentially can't lose.
You're saying like auxiliary guys other than their best player?
Obviously the best player, you're going to have a good chance.
Yeah.
But when your role players could dominate the game, I mean, the luxury that we're looking at right now. I mean, Golden State, Clay could shoot awful and they look unstoppable. Steph is not even involved in the offense sometimes, and they look like they're the best shooting team ever without the best shooter involved.
Yeah.
So,
and the tough thing about
dynamic.
what you said is Golden State has probably 3 of those guys, and I think every other team maybe only has 1.
Yeah.
I would say if Wiggins has a great game, if Poole has a great game, and if Otto Porter has a good game, they're almost unstoppable. The few times this season when Porter had like 20, they like won by 40 every time because he was just, it's tough to beat them if he's playing good. And I think you're right though. I think every contender does have that, and I think Dallas thinks that they can get that with a combination of Dinwiddie and Brunson, but I rarely see 3 auxiliary players for them play well. And I think all these other guys do have 3 guys that can play well together. Brunson and Dinwiddie rarely have good games together. Rarely. They did this past game, but it doesn't happen that often.
Almost never.
And then if they have good games, then Bullock plays bad. If they have good games, Kleber doesn't exist. Or, and if Bullock plays good, one of them doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So maybe after the series, we talk about what the future for them.
I do think Dallas, I think Memphis we talked about, like Dallas is also in a good spot going into the off season.
Okay.
I think
I don't know if I agree yet.
I think free agents would be interested in going there.
Okay.
But again, we'll obviously look at that as we get into the off season.
Yeah.
I got to make the same point I make about every star player doing this shit. I've quoted Kobe with this same thing like 9 times throughout our podcast history. I've talked about the basics of Luka needing to get in shape, Yeah. You can't play one way.
Right.
You just can't. We just saw it with the most with what people tell me is the most unstoppable offensive player ever.
Luka?
KD played one way for
Yeah.
4 games, and he couldn't even sniff a fucking win. I mean, he
Right.
sniffed it, but he didn't get it.
Yeah.
Like, I keep going back to this. Kobe exposed Harden sitting alongside T-Mac.
Yeah.
Bro, elite defenses, which the Warriors obviously are, elite defenses zero in on your tendencies. You have to have different things you do. Yeah. And with Luka, it's balls in my hands. I'm making plays. No cuts, no transition opportunities, no let the other ISO guys create for me. None of that.
Yep.
So it comes down, like, Dallas is putting their trust in Luka outplaying supreme athletes every night.
And to your point, and the reason why I brought up that Harden team is this is probably the closest to that team that we've ever seen 100%. As far as how they play. Luka only attacks from one angle. That's another reason why they're so easy to guard when it comes to that. He's only coming from the top of the key. How many times have you seen Luka drive baseline ever?
Bro, he has to dribble like 8 times to even get to the baseline.
I know, yeah. But all his stuff comes straight down the middle of the lane. So it limits you to everyone else's movement. We can't move because where are we moving to? Luka's going straight down the lane. We can only move this way, Yeah. I think a lot of teams, the Warriors do this well. If Klay attacks from the wing, there's like some action coming on the other side, a screen or a pin down from the other side for the guys where there's no one side that's just standing waiting for anybody. And the Rockets, the Mavericks don't have that. They don't have it at all.
No. And again, like, to me, Luka, to be able to play different ways, he has to get in shape.
Yeah, and adjust his mentality.
But I think that's an easy thing. Like, he hasn't shown the willingness to play without the ball, but he's already shown at a young age the willingness to let other guys eat.
Yeah, but if you're letting other guys eat and you're not available to score off the ball, it's no point, because it's like you let me eat, but then we start playing 4-on-5 when I have the ball. It doesn't help,
No, there is a point to beating a team like Utah.
Yeah.
But this is where you don't want to get stuck in the cycle of winning a series and then going home every year, because you're going to think you're right there beating teams like Utah and then getting dismantled by Golden State every year, or Memphis, or I'm hoping Phoenix won't do this again. The Clippers are going to be healthy next year.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. Dallas has
Denver's going to be healthy next year.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm really hoping for that. But Dallas has to be able to do different things. And with their players, like you mentioned, Kid had to do something different. There's nothing different he could have done.
Yeah, I think you're right about that.
And last point I'll make about the Warriors before, because what was it you said? Like, how just great they are, how offensively versatile they are. I think,
who are you talking
about? You said it earlier, just kind of talking about the Warriors offense in general.
Yeah.
I forgot who. I think it was Tim Legler. I don't remember where I saw him.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, ESPN guy, he made a great point about the Warriors offense is initiated by guard screening.
Yeah.
Nobody else in the NBA does that.
No, not that I can think of.
Not like they don't commit to that initiation.
Right.
And that's what makes their ball movement so elite compared to everybody else. Mm-hmm. Their best player comes down. They're one of the greatest point guards ever comes down, and his first priority is, can I open up an easy layup for somebody else? can I open up an easy shot for somebody else?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I got Steph doing that, I'm gonna make the fucking extra pass every time, no problem.
Yeah.
That's anybody who's come to the fucking Warriors. I mean, I saw Maurice Spates make extra passes. I mean, they called him Mo Buckets, not because he passed the ball. He gets to the Warriors, all of a sudden he has passing IQ.
Right. And that top of the key 3 he had was cash money.
He was definitely Mo Buckets. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, no, you're right though. You're right. It was,
but even guys who scored so well for them would come in, and KD never relied on individual basketball.
But you know, one point about the Warriors, your coach, when you guys run a play, you normally don't put the center in every spot, right? You say, okay, point guard, you run this play from the point. All right, 2 guard, you try it at the point. 1, you go to the 2. Warriors have everyone runs the play from every single position.
Yep.
Steph plays the 5 on their plays sometimes. Like it's not a 5, but he starts at where Looney will start, or Looney will start where Clay will start. It doesn't matter. So, and that's one reason with the guard screens, that's one reason it's so crazy, because they'll set a screen and get a backdoor off the roll, which it could be Steph going backdoor, the smallest player on the team going backdoor for a baseline layup, and he gets it.
Yep.
And you know, Clay will do it, Wiggins will do it, everyone will do it. Or Draymond will come up as like the guy to take the 3. He's not going to take it, but he comes up as the guy to take the 3, and then there's the little dump off pass from whoever set the screen for him, or the back door from the other side. So it's the fact that they have all these players doing it. There's very few teams that can do that. Would you ever want Gobert running running any position but what he does ever?
No, absolutely not.
And that's part of what makes that offense so crazy. Their motion is
the commitment to move without the ball. Yeah. I mean, they're guys, including Steph and Clay, who again are 2 of the greatest shooters ever. They'll spend 3 possessions in a row running for the whole 24 seconds and get 1 touch without a shot. They don't get an assist off the touch.
Maybe just a pass right back to the person that passed it to him. That happens all the time.
Exactly. I don't know if we'll ever see an NBA team. I'm pretty sure we never saw it before. I'm very certain we won't see it after.
Do what?
Play that level, play offense to that selflessness extent, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think you're right.
I mean, how many teams could embrace Jordan Poole as quickly as they did?
Nobody.
They let him decide playoff games.
Yeah.
Like literally, Steph is tripping, Draymond is tripping, Clay can't make a fucking shot. Poole, run the show.
Yeah, and they just put the ball in his hands.
Put the ball in his hands.
To me, even the fact that Clay and Steph will pass up shots for him is amazing.
Amazing.
I mean, he can really, really, really shoot. I mean, he's by far the 3rd best shooter on the team, but he's still so far of a shooter from them. They're at a 10. He may be at a 7 compared to everyone else being 3s. Like that's how different it is. So it's like, it's really impressive that they do that. Because you're right. I don't think many other teams would do it. Maybe Boston at their peak, and we'll get to that. But the funny thing is, the few teams that I can remember being really unselfish were like championship level when they did that. And as soon as they stopped doing that, they were no longer championship teams. Like the big 3 Boston team with Pierce, Ray, Rondo.
Yeah. And it was their depth that had that embraced that.
Yeah. Because they got Eddie House. They were kicking it to Eddie House, Leon Poe. They had all these guys.
Was always open in the fucking corner, even though he was a specialist. That shit made me so mad every time.
And when they were unselfish, No one could beat them.
Oh,
Nobody.
dude, ask the '08 Lakers.
Right. But then as soon
Not
as they
even
got
close.
selfish, the next year it was a wrap.
Yeah.
So anyway, speaking of Boston, let's transition. Enough about the
We got to
Warriors.
segue to the series that isn't over.
Right. And the thing is, we're talking about the Dallas and Warriors series because as if it's over, because I don't think
3-0.
Dallas will be the first team to come back from 3-0.
No.
And if there's 3 more games, we'll talk about them next podcast. But right now we're considering that series over. So
yeah,
there's that. Eastern Conference Finals, Boston, Miami Heat. It is now 2-2. We will start at, you want to start the first game there? Go through every game again?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a common theme to the 4 games, in my opinion. I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
There is for me too, I think. But you go first then. You lay it out. First game.
So
In,
game 1,
Miami.
we'll call the Jimmy Butler game.
Yes.
So the series begins and Miami's best player decides that, I'm the best player in the series. And he outlines a path for Miami to get the 4-0 sweep.
Yeah.
Play through him, let him be the most physical player on the court, let him attack anytime he gets a weak link on him, he attacks. Anytime he gets a favorable spot on the court, he attacks. And he's just aggressive, like a best player should be.
Yeah.
But yet I still thought with Jimmy Butler playing as well as he did, Boston beat themselves.
Yes. Very winnable game for Boston. It was only like a 2-point game at halftime, right?
Yeah.
It was a close game. Third quarter was a disaster for Boston.
Third quarter was very turnover filled, very bad shot filled, just incompetent basketball. The game was decided in the third quarter, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was. Okay.
What'd you
Next
see
game. In that game?
Yeah, just set me up for the next game. Just kind of how you thought it would progress. What did you see that could translate?
I think I'm similar to you. It's been pretty simple to me as far as it goes. That series, that first game, Tatum playing point guard was a disaster.
Marcus Smart didn't play. I forgot to mention Horford and Smart were out, which was a huge loss for them.
Right. So Smart did not play that game, and in the second half, they desperately needed a point guard of any sort. And I know I've dogged Smart as being like a starting point guard on here, but they just needed anybody that could handle the ball and not turn the ball over in the third.
Bro, it was I'd go a step beyond that. I think like missing a high IQ player, like the turnovers were so bad. You needed Al Horford out there to just like not make bad decisions.
Yeah.
It was to that point.
It was back to back. Harrell was getting layups. Jimmy Butler was getting layups. Part of Jimmy having that big of a game in the first game was just because of the turnovers. It was because of a lot of the steals. He had a lot of fast break layups. It wasn't like he was just coming down and being like Kobe in that game. He was just getting a lot of breaks, and he scored on every single break. He probably
eats off of Miami's defense more than anybody else on the team.
Yeah, because he usually plays the ball dominant guy, so he's usually at the top. So even when he forces a bad pass, he's the first one leaking out, and he cherry picks a little bit. He leaks out early a lot. Every rebound, Jimmy Butler's all of a sudden.
Miami's good at that. Like that's something they time well, because I never see like, damn, if that guy was back, like they would have rebounded better. They usually pick their spots well.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, so I thought Miami had a lot of energy, which was nice. Just for them to be scoring on every single break was cool, but I wasn't blown away by the first game performance either.
So we get to game 2, and again, this series, I think most people were 6-7 game predictions with this one. I was very confident that it would be like one team wins, the other team wins, or maybe 2-2. But you mentioned energy. Miami didn't have any of it in game 2.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, Smart came out and like sucked the energy out of Miami, it seemed like.
Smart was one away from a triple-double in that game.
Bro, and this is where I'm talking about role players making the team unbeatable. That Marcus Smart makes, again, Boston doesn't lose a game the rest of the way.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
And
that
he
Marcus
doesn't,
Smart,
to me,
Boston could get 70
I just
wins
don't think he
season.
has to shoot that well.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. He distributed so well. Everybody on the team, they had 1, 2, 3, 6 guys in double figures. So, I mean, it's hard to beat a team that got 60 points right off the bat. I mean, easily. So, yeah, they looked fantastic in that second game.
But to me, again, and maybe I'm reaching, I won't say Miami wins if they come out with energy, but the game would have been competitive if they come out with some energy.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
That, to me, like, Boston came out, punched them. There was no punch back. There was no, like, physicality. There was no chippy play to get anybody going. Nothing.
This is... I was going to save this, but I'll say this now. This is where game 2 is where I kind of think Spoelstra can be overrated at times, because I don't understand why sometimes he completely fails to get guys in good spots to get baskets. Like the role players, sometimes he just, if like the good players aren't playing special or with energy, if Bam or Jimmy aren't stepping up, the role players are just like don't exist for the team sometimes. Like PJ Tucker was non-existent in this game. Strus was completely non-existent in this game. Martin played. I didn't even notice. Hero didn't get many good shots.
Vincent sucked.
He sucked. He was their second leading scorer and still sucked. So it's like, I understand that it's on the players. Like we talked about Jimmy Butler on here plenty of times on him getting guys involved. He only had 3 assists in this game, but someone has to make him aware of getting people involved. Because, in the heat of the game, if you're playing good and you're losing, you're not thinking about, man, Strus hasn't gotten a good shot or PJ hasn't gotten a good shot off. That's something that comes in the timeouts.
You're 2 games ahead. I was going to wait once we caught up to the game 4. I wanted to really discuss Miami's role players.
I got you. So ignore that. Let's keep going.
But before we get to that, game 3, Miami takes the fucking series lead. And
yes,
I'm about to get into why, but Bam Adebayo comes out and it's like he heard an argument we were having.
Privately.
Miami's got all these guys being aggressive, getting steals, cutting and getting layups.
The cutting was fantastic.
Mid-second quarter, I'm like, Miami's cutting really well.
Yeah,
but they've always cut really well.
Mm-hmm. Normally,
that doesn't mean it's okay for Strus to get fucking layups.
Right.
That doesn't mean Bam Adebayo comes down. I talked about this shit with Brunson. He comes down and he starts his isolation 5 feet from the fucking basket.
Right. They let him get so deep.
Like,
and his isolation is on
the
Marcus.
Paint by the time you're bodying him.
And his isolation is on Marcus Smart or
Jaylen
Brown. Yeah. 2 players that,
he could shoot over every play.
Exactly.
Especially from 7 feet.
Exactly.
So that, to me, again, like, this is the 3rd game in a row. The team that lost just like threw the fucking game.
Yeah.
Bro, again, everybody in the fucking league everybody who's watched Miami knows they cut well.
Yes.
But in the pivotal game 3 in Miami, everybody's cutting and getting layups off of it. Okay, if it's one guy, okay, if Harrow's killing you with cuts, we'll live.
In Boston. That game was in Boston. 3 was in Boston.
Yeah, my bad. We go to Boston, even worse. Worse. We go back home and pull that nonsense.
That blew my mind that they did that at home. Yeah.
Completely with you. And then Jimmy Butler gets hurt. Miami is admittedly not playing as well, which isn't surprising. Mm-hmm. And what comes back? The fucking turnover disaster from game 1.
Yep.
But this time it's Jaylen Brown who's cooking.
Well, this time Jaylen Brown joined Tatum because Tatum still has 6. This time they teamed up. Tatum had 7 in the first game and had 6 this game in game 3, and then Brown has 7. So,
and I want to point out again, I made the point that Jimmy Butler kind of decides Miami. Game 1, Boston gets destroyed. Tatum was disgustingly awful. Game 2, Boston wins. Tatum was great. Game 3, they lose. Tatum was disgustingly awful.
Yeah.
Like he's had since Brooklyn, he has been spectacular, awful, spectacular. Maybe he's the best wing in the league. What is he doing on the court? Why is he out there? What is his decision making right now?
In game 3, by the way, Jaylen Brown was spectacular, but only him basically.
But that third quarter, you can't let an elite defensive team get a lot of turnovers in a small stretch.
Yeah.
Like that's the stretches when Miami looks elite offensively, because they really aren't.
Oladipo hasn't played all season and had 4 steals in like 10 minutes in this game.
Bro, he looked like he was watching Jaylen Brown's entire career on film before. Like he knew Jaylen Brown's dribble moves better than Jaylen Brown was thinking about doing them.
Yeah, that's how he looked. And a lot of times Jaylen just handed it to him, it looked like, to me, honestly.
Yeah. And I'm just like, yo, we just lost the first game of the series like this.
Yeah.
But again, game ends. Miami's up 2-1. They hold on to win. It was still a fairly competitive game in the second half.
If Jaylen Brown didn't have 40, it wouldn't have been competitive.
No, it would not.
He had 40, and he had chances to at least, make it even more competitive game. And just
I was very impressed. Instead. I thought Miami could have lost and made plays to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's something to see them do that without Jimmy Butler was very impressive.
Yeah.
Then we get to game 4.
Jimmy is back.
Is he?
Well, no Tyler Hero, but other than that, they were healthy everywhere around. I'm not letting Jimmy have that. I'm not giving him that excuse. He played. Because
I didn't see him, but he fucking played.
This game 4, Miami, I don't want to be wrong, but Miami shot 30 for 90. They shot 33%. They had same amount of turnovers. They had 26 fouls, 11 more fouls than Boston had.
The fouls were a significant difference.
Yeah.
But this was again, you just lost, just like I talked about Boston. You just got destroyed because you could literally, the series could be on the verge of being over, but you didn't even show up to one of the games
at all.
And we have a repeat of that. I mean, Miami scored a point in the first 7 minutes of the game. Did you see?
Did you?
Listen, I have no problem. I just watched Dallas couldn't make a shot. I've seen a lot of basketball with teams getting cold. be honest with me. The first 8 minutes of the game, did it look like Miami was even trying to get a good shot?
No,
No, not one time. I've never
all these
seen
like weird floaters and
I've never seen a team have 1.7 minutes into the game, and I was like, wow, this is the most deserving like 1 point score I've ever seen.
Yeah, some shots they were makeable shots, but for the most part they were really tough shots. And the thing is, most of the time, if you're still taking jump shots and you haven't scored, you like, all right, I'm getting to the basket. If I'm running somebody over, I'm getting a layup. Like we have to score. And
yeah,
Bam did absolutely nothing in this game for some reason. I don't know why.
The
He would get the
roster
rebound.
did nothing.
No, but real quick, he would get the I'm gonna go through everybody. I'm not just picking on Bam. He would get the rebound and he'd take off as if they were starting like an amazing break. Everyone would be running with him, and then he'd just stop at the 3-point line and just hand it to somebody else who was just gonna go miss. PJ Tucker would get into the paint and like throw up these one-hand floaters from the free throw line over and over and over and over again.
Get his shit fucking sent, by the way.
Yeah, a couple
couldn't
times
even get him off half the time.
Right. Dwayne Dedman came in and was shooting floaters at 6'10". Jimmy Butler was probably the only one that I think, and this is just because he's the best player, he's probably the only one that took like good shots, because I think he could make pretty much any shot on the court. Wants. Yeah, he's just that good. So I wasn't mad at any of his shot selection. Lowry, if you're not making the threes with your toes on the line, you don't take 3 steps back and hopefully that's the one I'm gonna make. Strus, did Strus take a shot? Oh, he took 7. I didn't notice any of them. I remember him getting some threes, but he played like garbage, and that's okay. He's supposed to play like garbage. Like this is honestly, let's be honest, Strus should not be like a contributing player at this level of basketball.
No, not at all.
So him going 0 for 7 didn't shock me.
Who cares? I don't care at all. It's Bullock. The same as Bullock. Yep.
Yeah. If Oladipo was healthy all season, Strus wouldn't be playing at all.
Whoa, I apologize. I said Miami didn't show up, with the except Oladipo showed up. That's it.
Oladipo was fantastic in this game.
Oladipo looked all-star caliber.
He was prime in this game. Prime Oladipo. Singing, Mr. 360. He was doing it all in this game. And we mentioned Caleb Martin had a good game. We knew off air, we knew he was going to have a good game in this game. 12 and 6. Duncan Robinson in garbage time played great, but he was garbage until garbage time, till it was his time to shine.
I don't know why they forced him out there. That now that Struss is taking his clock for some reason, like I don't even want to deep dive that.
And for those who follow sports a lot, if you watched ESPN this morning, you've heard Stephen A say this a ton of times. They scored 18 points. The starters scored 18 points. It's the lowest point total for starters in the history of basketball.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's by far.
It was by 8. The Spurs had 26 points in 2009. But
I'm sure their bench went off that game.
Right. Remember, Ginobili came off the bench for them. He could have had 40 in that
2009. game. 2009 might have been the Roger Mason year when he was hitting tough shots and fucking hitting game winners the first half of the year for them. You remember that?
They either had Mason, Neal, or Hill that were all fire off the bench, and then they had Ginobili. So that either way, Spurs always had a good bench, so it doesn't matter. But 18 points for those who don't play basketball, or for those who do, if you've ever taken a math class, 18 points, dude. That means everyone on the starting lineup only has to score 3.5 points to get more than 18 points. That's it.
That's embarrassing, honestly. Like Miami, and to be transparent, I couldn't even make it through the second quarter of this game.
I stopped in the fourth quarter. I'm not gonna lie.
Wow, you made it another like 13 minutes of basket of that?
I watched the third quarter. I did. But after that, once Duncan Robinson came in, I cut it off because I'm like, oh, Miami gave up. It's over.
Miami in the
Highsmith
second
and
quarter.
Yurtseven.
Oh, Miami in the second quarter, bro. You mentioned the fouling. Anytime Miami played good defense, they fouled and ruined it.
Yeah.
Which was again, I would expect the top team in the conference, the team with probably the most playoff experience I could think of. Okay, I didn't get that.
Mm-hmm.
On offense, we're down 24 points. And no, we don't go to Jimmy Butler, who won us the first game of the series. No, we don't go to Bam Adebayo, who just won us a fucking game. Like you said, Bam comes off a 30-point game and runs handoffs for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
He would have ran, if this was a close game, he would have ran it for 48. for 48 minutes coming off a 30-point game, Bam Adebayo is just the handoff guy.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, I'm looking at him like, is that Rudy Gobert with elite athleticism out there?
Yeah.
And you know it takes a lot for me to say that based off the conversation we had off air.
Yeah.
I mean, I was shocked. I'm watching the fucking game. Bro, Bam comes down and he's like, whoa, let me not run a play for myself. Let me run a fucking handoff to Strus.
But the weirdest thing is he would get the rebound and push the ball and do that. That's what blew my mind. I'm like, oh, here we go. Fast break. Let's go.
That's what was shocking. Stopped. The previous game, he's pushing it as a mismatch.
Yeah. He's like, he had coast-to-coast badge the previous game.
Bro, again, down 24. We're running plays for Strus.
Yeah.
Bro, are you kidding me? It's the same shit I had with, bro, you put Duncan Robinson on the court. He sucks. He can't guard anybody. That's fine. Because he could give me 5 to 10 threes if somebody leaves him open.
Yeah.
Bro, we don't have to run plays for him every time.
No, we don't.
Why? I don't understand. We're down 24 and we're repeatedly coming down, making sure Strus and PJ Tucker touch the ball.
And neither of them scored.
Why is it a priority for PJ Tucker to touch the ball?
It was so strange, man. And they never get PJ Tucker any corner threes. He was doing everything but corner threes in this game, which is his specialty.
That second quarter, it's just fouling, and we're going to guys to like get them going. Like, what are we trying to get the roster going for?
You know what the worst part about all this is? Celtics really didn't play that great. They didn't play like spectacular.
And this is This is where the common theme. 4 fucking games of this series, the team that lost has like went out of their way to lose every game.
Yeah.
This series, honestly, this is to me, the clear-cut 2 best teams in the East this year.
Yeah.
And this series is trash.
Yeah.
Like, this series is like, it makes the NBA look bad.
This series makes the Boston and Brooklyn series look like the best series of the entire playoffs, which it might have been.
Well, Memphis and Golden State had some good games. And then Memphis and Timberwolves had great games too. But
yeah,
I don't understand how these 2 teams are so elite. And they show that all the time. But for some reason, it's like the dumbest things that keep both of these teams from doing what the Warriors do, sustaining their success.
I'll say this, and I mentioned this earlier, but I've come to this realization. Boston, you can only beat Boston if Boston beats themselves. Honestly. I think Boston may be the most unbeatable team in the entire playoffs if they don't play on your team. Because that's how they lose every game.
And they've lost a lot of fucking games doing that.
That's it. And it's always the same thing. It's turnovers, it's bad shots. If Tatum really like plays like garbage the whole game, they're harder. It's hard for them to win. But when Tatum,
Really hard.
all Tatum has to do is just play okay and take care of the ball, they're almost unbeatable. Because everyone else, the more shots they get, the more they make. Because they're a team that everyone can hit shots, everyone can score from basically anywhere on the floor. Um, Everyone passes well when they're not turning the ball over. Um, they rebound well. They play obviously fantastic defense, but the defense on Miami hasn't been like lockdown defense, like forcing a bunch of turnovers. They had the exact same amount of turnovers in this game. It was about them taking care of the ball and them getting more shots. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all they have to do every night.
Every night.
And when
And
they
it's
don't,
such an easy formula, and yet we can't trust them to do that.
nope. That's why I picked Miami in 6. I'm saying about Miami in 6. And
You think Miami's
even
getting the
my
next 2
statement,
games?
even after my statement, I think Boston is unbeatable if they don't beat themselves. Unbeatable. I think they could go this whole playoffs and not lose a single game. They don't beat themselves. And I think Miami's going to beat them twice in a row.
That says everything you need to know about Boston.
Yeah. The thing
I'm
is,
done. I'm
can't.
honestly, bro, I'm done with them because what I saw Milwaukee doing last year, figuring out what works, sustaining what works, what I'm seeing from Golden State, I see more of that from Miami than I do from Boston.
Yeah.
And I don't
And
see that much from Miami.
And Miami's losses are worse than Boston's losses in this
100%.
series. Yeah.
1000%. Like you said, as confident as high as you hold the Celtics, you're sure that they're about to go home.
Yeah. The 2 wins Miami had, Boston should have won those. Miami should not have won this game 4. They shouldn't. They did everything they could do. They just didn't play good. But that doesn't mean you should have won. They shouldn't have won game 2. They got straight up beat. So, but the one Celtics lost, they should have won both of those games. They were in the games, and then beating themselves lost in the games. That's it. Nothing else to it. Miami is not that great of a team. Let's be honest. They look really good, and they were the best team this season. And when they're at their peak, they play really well, but they're not better than Boston.
And they still have the best player in the series. He just wants to hide that for some reason.
And I count on that. I do. I count on him hiding it all the time. And I count on Bam not being aggressive. But they have enough everywhere else that can do it. If Hero comes back, they have Hero, they have Oladipo. Them two can beat Boston when Boston has 8 turnovers in a quarter. Just Hero and Oladipo. Doesn't take anybody else.
Yeah, man. I mean, I just watching how badly these two teams have lost games. I miss Milwaukee, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, Milwaukee isn't better than Boston, but they're not beating themselves.
No.
Like, you have to go and earn wins to beat Milwaukee, which Boston did 4 times.
Yeah.
Again, Boston, I don't know why they are so locked in to fucking making KD and Kyrie look bad, but they can't lock it in to make the title run that looks fucking easy.
The difference with the Brooklyn series, they played bad sometimes, and Brooklyn played worse. Like,
that is true.
there were some stretches where Tatum was throwing the ball away. They let Bruce Brown look like a defensive player of the year candidate, but Brooklyn was just even worse than that, so didn't matter.
KD and
this
Kyrie
is a weird.
Were even worse than that.
This whole season is really weird. We're seeing a lot of these really high talented people just play really bad. I mean, the Lakers have a lot of talent. Didn't even make the playoffs. Didn't even make the play-in. Brooklyn, all the talent in the world, got swept. Milwaukee, as much talent as a championship team should have, got beat. I mean, we've seen a lot of these teams with really high levels of talent just stink up the joint.
You know why? I think I've said this for a number of years. the quality of the defense in the regular season has deteriorated.
Yeah, it has.
More and more. And it's like maybe 5 years in Steph's peak, 16, 17. I mean, shit,
Yeah.
Steph might peak next year too, but
yeah,
for his like
MVP.
really explosive first peak,
yeah,
I saw a lot of players getting put on the court to play defense. I saw a lot of players getting put on the court for toughness, for physicality. Now everybody's out there to shoot the fucking ball.
Yeah.
There's no priority on stopping people till we get to the fucking playoffs. So teams that have severe limitations, they don't even know that until they get, like, Utah didn't even know that, even though they should have, when, you blow the same fucking lead to the Clippers that you did last year and your star players sitting there talking about it's the same. Maybe that should have given them an idea. But again, when you don't face elite defense, you get comfy.
Right.
And so many of these teams got comfy. Phoenix comfy. Minnesota comfy. Memphis comfy. Philly way too comfy.
Right.
And they're all home.
And this is where the Warriors have the cheat code. I mean, well, not the cheat code, but they know the system by saying, look, we don't have to have the best record every season. We don't have to go out there and exert ourselves and shoot perfect every night. It's the playoffs. When we get to the playoffs, that's when it don't matter who we play. We're going to play our best, and, they'll be able to beat anybody.
I mean, I think I told you this. I remember watching the league, and the top 4 to 5 teams could turn it on when they need to.
Yeah.
Like if LeBron wanted to beat a fucking Memphis team on a Friday night and it's a close game with 5 minutes left, he could turn it on and it's over. Golden State has always been able to do that.
Yeah.
They're the only team left that could do it.
Yeah.
Every other team, they could turn it up, but has Boston made it look like it was by choice? No. Miami, no. Memphis, no.
Boston
Phoenix
always looks like, oh, look, somebody's hot. It's like one of those things all the time. Yeah.
Exactly.
Boston struggles in regular season games.
Exactly. And all these teams have become so dependent on shooting the ball well.
Yeah.
That's why Golden State's so much better, because they're not dependent on it. They're just committed to taking good shots.
And me and you talk about this all the time about Golden State. They are so underrated how well they get to the rim. So underrated. I think Poole, other than Morant, I think Poole gets to the basket better than any other guard in the league. Steph gets to the basket whenever he wants to. Clay is dunking on people all season since he's been back. His first play back was dunking on somebody. So it's like, I don't think they get enough credit for that. I think people think, you limit their threes. They never let you limit their threes because they get to the basket so well. So well.
I hate to sound like an old head, but they play basketball the right way.
They do.
The objective, every possession is best shot available.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. It's never fucking feed Steph.
Right.
And that's like literally every other team, feed best player is a play.
It's funny. The only person they ever feed is Clay. And that's because Clay gets supernova hot when he's hot. Yeah. I mean, Clay is not hot. He really is just supernova when he's hot. And he's the only one they ever go into that feed mode with. But you're right. It don't matter. Steph could have 50 and they still look for the best shot. But if Clay has 20 in the quarter,
Steph will have 45 and 3/4, and he'll come out to start the fourth quarter and set a back pick on Looney.
Yeah. Yep.
Imagine Luka doing that.
Never.
And that I could say that for most of the stars in the league. And I don't think all of them, it's like their mentality's fault. A lot of it is the system they play in has kind of just settled or just been simplified to feed them.
Mm-hmm.
But it's killing the fucking league not killing the league. It's killing the how many contenders we have every year.
The competition of the league.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Let me ask you this. And I know it's early. If if Miami loses the series, you think Jimmy Butler is still Batman after this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who do they go to? Who becomes Batman?
No, I mean, will he be looked at as the Batman of a championship level team? That's what I mean. Do you think they'll want to go get someone with more talent, or that Jimmy, if he leaves, he'll have to be the second guy on the team after this? I know it's early because they may win this, but I'm saying if they lose this, do you think? Well, we'll have to see how they lose it, I guess.
I mean, I'll say, oh, Butler, it's so frustrating. I'm going to be honest, up until he's like either washed up or randomly maybe decides to retire or some shit, he's a Batman to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's because to compare it, I know he'll look tough in the cape. I know he knows how to use the gadgets. I know he knows how to do the detective work. I know he can beat all the criminals up.
Yeah.
I just don't know if he's willing to put the fucking suit on every night.
Right.
Bruce Wayne puts the suit on every night.
Right.
Giannis puts the suit on every night.
So that's why I asked, do you think that he needs to go somewhere where he doesn't have to every night and still, catch the bad guys?
But that's Miami. He's in
they're
the
not
perfect
showing that.
situation. I mean, they're in the conference finals going toe-to-toe with a team that could literally be unstoppable.
That's Miami. That's Miami now with with him as Batman. But let's say if
he was a Batman last year.
Yeah,
when Giannis and company just wiped the floor with them.
He was, yeah.
Okay.
That's my point. I'm saying he's like the good parts of what you said now. But what if Milwaukee, like hypothetically, what if they said we're getting rid of Middleton, we're looking for someone else to be the second to Greek Freak? Would you think Jimmy Butler would be perfect for that?
Oh, with the right first option, with the guy with the killer mentality, the Greek Freaks, I honestly, I really it hurts my soul that we only got to watch him play with Embiid 1 year.
Yeah, me too.
2 years or whatever it was. But
Embiid
is a guy I would, bro. I mean, I'd even throw in a shitty number one option, Siakam. Siakam is a shitty number one option, and he'd go to Toronto and they'd be a contender. They'd probably have similar issues that Miami does.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, Nick Nurse will never be down 24 trying to feed Scotty Barnes. Never. And Scotty Barnes is better than fucking Strus. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. He's not Nick Nurse is not feeding the fucking bums. He's putting them in the corner. He's making them cut. He's making them screen. And we're playing through the best players.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're completely right. Yeah. All right. Well, we want to talk any more about this series particularly? Who do you have in the next two games?
I'll say
you had Boston in 7, right? Originally?
I believe so. Yeah. I think Boston wins tonight.
Uh-huh.
Miami wins game 6. They trade wins on the road.
Boston and then Miami and then
wait, no, it's in Boston and then it goes to Miami.
No, they're back in Miami.
Okay, so Boston wins game 5, Miami wins game 6.
And then Boston wins game 7? You think this is going to keep alternating?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a prisoner of the moment in some ways. I just watched 4 games of one team just slaughtering themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, I mean, I don't disagree that Boston Boston's wins were more convincing, but Miami just not showing up to the fucking game is depressing.
It is.
So I can't really imagine that's going to change, and all of a sudden they'll have 3 toe-to-toe like go at it games.
If both teams play perfect at their best, who wins the game?
Boston.
Okay.
Every time.
Okay. So
and I love Miami.
Yeah. So you said Boston, Miami, and then Boston again. And I got Miami winning.
You really think Miami's go back to back them to close the series out?
Yeah, I do.
Wow.
Well,
you really
wait.
I thought Boston's turnovers were ugly. You must think they're even worse than that.
Let me say, if Hero is back, not without Hero, I don't think they do that.
Yeah, I'd like to see
one more game without
Hero.
Yeah, not that I think Hero is like a huge deal, but I think that they can't play their best without him, to me.
But he is a guy who, when the offense for some dumb reason is feeding the scrubs, he'll start getting them up.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got a good feel for that. So I do think he helps him a lot with the struggles.
Yeah, so I'll say with Hero healthy, and I don't know what's up with Jimmy, if he's hurt, if he's not. I think they can beat them twice. Yeah, with Hero, but without Hero, I think I would agree with you. If for some reason if Hero's done, I'm with you. I think it'll be Boston first. I think Boston will go back to back, and then Miami, and then Boston in Miami to close it out. But Boston should win the next 2 games. It should be over.
Boston should be the fucking NBA champion. I won't let it go all summer if they don't even make it to the damn finals.
But how they have lost is why I said that I think they need a point guard. That's the only reason. I don't think they need more talent. I don't think that Marcus Smart isn't good. I love Marcus Smart. You know, I've been saying for the last 4 years, Marcus Smart is the most impactful player in the league. But turn the ball over. Your 2-star players cannot have 13 turnovers in a game, man.
No, that's just sick.
They just can't. And when Kemba was there, we saw how quick the leadership helped them. Like, we noticed the leadership change and the ball movement immediately changed after Kyrie left. And it wasn't just because they had a leader for once, but he just couldn't give them anything on offense after a while. Couldn't give them anything on defense after a while. But now, Derek White played fantastic in the last game, by the way. I meant to say, I forgot to shout him out. He looked amazing. First quarter, he was the best player on the court first quarter.
Yeah.
But
you know what it is for me, and we've disagreed on their need for a point guard. I just like I've seen Tatum and Brown do what it takes for them to win a championship.
I agree.
I've seen it. It's just again, it hasn't been sustained a lot by Tatum's recurring shot selection problems.
That's been a problem, yeah. But I think the other thing is Tatum is just not a playmaker. No matter how hard they try, no matter how much he fools people some nights by making some nice plays, he is not a playmaker at all. It's just not him. And I think when they do have him going out there trying to run plays and be the ball dominant guy, it's just not his game. It stifles the offense and then turns into turnovers. Brown too. Brown is not I don't want Brown bringing the ball up court every time down court.
They're just I don't think they need a point guard to not have the ball all the fucking time.
Well, it depends how they use him, right? Yeah. He may not have the ball all the time, but he might. You know, if it's Gabe Vincent, he's not going to have the ball all the time, and he's just going to be out there shooting threes. But if it's, it's just not a lot of if it's Mike Conley, he'll have the ball enough to start the play.
And but I thought like White starting because Smart didn't play in game 4. I don't think we even mentioned that, but
No, we didn't.
White starting, like he had the ball. Before that, he'd come into the fucking game and he's the spot up threat, even though he's bricked since he got there. Like he was doing all these things that weren't really to his game.
When you're saying when he plays good or bad?
Bad.
Yeah, I agree.
Like
And
they
in this
put him
game,
out there, and like they've put him out there obviously all the time, but the game he starts, he looks like a point guard.
because he established himself as a threat right away in this game. And a lot of times he doesn't. A lot of times he does just go out there, pass it, and is spotting up. This game, he was going to the basket. He would pass it and he'd go get open, and he was open. He was taking shots. Whether he made them or not, he was aggressive and he was a threat. They can't have anyone on the team not be a threat in the game. Like they can't have Rondo out there passing it and then just not being able to spot up, not being able to score. I mean, that's what makes White look good for them at times, because he can score even when he doesn't have the ball. He cuts well most of the time. He gets out on breaks. Whoever they get, if they need somebody, they need someone that can at least be a threat at all times.
Yes, take the ball.
Sure.
I need somebody to take the ball out of Brown and Tatum's hands, but not just for the sake of it. Like it's got to be for a purpose.
Yeah, and the thing is, they need someone that if you're overplaying them, I'm gonna get off, and if you're overplaying me, I'm gonna get a play for somebody. They don't really have that at all, and the only way they have it is if Brown and Tatum do it, and that it doesn't work sometimes. And then if they do it, it's turnover nightmare. So either way, they could come out of this and they can win a championship. I by no means do not believe they can win a championship. I do think they can win a championship. I think they can win these games, but
I don't trust them to.
Exactly. Speaking of not trusting, the Lakers have found their finalists for their coaching position, head coach position. The finalists are Darvin Ham, who's an assistant coach at Milwaukee Bucks, played for a long time. I think he played for the Nuggets.
Bro, he played for a lot of teams.
Yeah.
I will say he's been Budenholzer's assistant for fucking like since the 60-win Hawk team for sure. Even way before that, I'm pretty sure he was his assistant.
Yeah, he's been with Budenholzer for a really long time. Budenholzer trusts him a lot. Then Terry Stotts, who, if you've listened to the podcast for the last year, you know how we feel about Terry Stotts. We don't need to go too deep into that. And then Kenny Atkinson is the third candidate. Kenny Atkinson coached at the Nets. He is
lost his job unfairly.
Very unfairly. He's an assistant at for the Warriors right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and doing well with the Warriors. It seems.
I've never
seems
seen
like
him
they like
look
him
bad.
and respect him.
I've never like he's never. I mean, obviously, you don't really notice assistant coaches, but every coaching staff he's been on has been good,
and they've respected him.
Right. The little bit we've seen him head coaching, I only saw his Brooklyn teams exceed expectations.
Me too. Me too.
I mean, I don't even want to deep dive that he's the best candidate out of the three by far.
Yeah.
But, and I'm not trolling. I don't got a problem. Even Stotts, I think, is a decent coach.
Mm-hmm.
They might as well hire like bum ass like Vinny Del Negro or somebody. Bro, the Lakers, let me make something crystal fucking clear. The Lakers are in no way slick. In no way. And them trying to like create this coaching hiring process, like we're working to fix what just went wrong. Bro, we talked prior to the end of the season and I fucking shit on them as an organization. And you kind of like you didn't really embrace that because you were looking at how they were playing more and Russ and LeBron.
Yeah.
Since then, they couldn't fire their coach correctly, by the way.
Yeah, that was awkward. Fired him before the last game.
They couldn't fire a coach right. Juwan Howard, by the way, turned him down.
Yeah, but Juwan has his 2 sons on the Michigan team. I'm not taking a
That's fine. That's fine. That's cool. That's cool. I'm not saying he did it because the Lakers are awful, even though it's a good chance for that. But
his wife keeps saying it's not because of his sons, it's because of the Lakers. But let's be honest, who wants to give up coaching your alma mater? Your sons are, No,
I'm with you.
And by the way, I'm not saying there's anything nefarious about Juwan Howard, because I like Juwan Howard, but a lot of those coaches get their son's scholarship in their deals. And when they go, the sons go. It happens all the time.
You know what sucks is Juwan Howard is the exact coach they need.
Yeah, he is.
They need a former player who could reach who when he speaks, the roster listens.
Yeah.
I couldn't care less that Juwan's never coached an NBA game. Like anybody, I don't care about their experience. This is not.
He assistant coached Miami for a long time.
Yeah. But my point is the experience is not important.
Right.
I need
at least he has rings. He's not like Steve Nash. He has rings as an assistant coach, at least.
Look, Brooklyn is I'll leave Brooklyn alone for now. But my problem is, like, they have covered up how fucking disgusting they were with this idea that, we'll get a new coach and trend in the right direction.
Right.
Let's not forget that the only person who officially threw Frank Vogel under the bus is Russell fucking Westbrook.
Right.
And this organization is so fucking trash that and I'm not surprised that they're not doing shit about Russ, because, it's one thing to waive a guy who's washed up, but it's 4 years, 60 million versus a guy who's maybe not even washed up. He's just dumb, but he's 47 mil for the year. Just the financial toll of that is impossible. I get that you can't waive him.
Right.
But the moment Russell lets some kind of stupid foolishness come out his mouth about what went wrong this season, as if he would fucking know. Like, honestly, does he strike you as a guy with self-awareness?
No, we know that.
So this Lakers organization is so bad. They embraced Russell's dumbass comments and said, Vogel, you the scapegoat, get the fuck out. Again, I don't understand why you couldn't let him out the door correctly and with some fucking respect. He did win you a title.
Mm-hmm.
But that, again, it's just this organization keeps proving how trash they are. At every turn, with the simplest things like firing coaches, they can't do that shit right.
I am not going to disagree, but I'm going to offer a conflicting viewpoint. LeBron James is an organization murderer. He's an organization assaulter. He comes and he beats the crap out of the organizations until they're just left with a bunch of broken bones, a broken face, and picking up the pieces, picking up all the dismembered fingers and arms they have and trying to put it together. He's done it. Cleveland once. He did it to Miami. In my opinion, he did it to Miami. Some people think he didn't, but I think Miami was garbage after he left. They could do nothing after that. He took D Wade with him, by the way. Took him right off the Miami roster.
D Wade came back, by the way. D Wade sucked everywhere else, but when he came back, well, Chicago, he was all right, but he sucked everywhere else.
I think he sucked in Chicago. For some reason, it did look like he was good in Chicago, but I don't think he was good in Chicago. And then Cleveland, he did it again. And Cleveland is just now picking up the pieces to that disaster. You go to the finals and you don't even make the playoffs for the rest of the time. Like, no other team, if Greek Freak left the Bucks right now, they'll still make the playoffs. Like, there's no one else to me in the league that if their best player leaves, they don't make even the play-in the next season, other than LeBron. And it's just because of what he does to the rosters. He gets guys on 1-year deal, so when he leaves, you don't have anyone that you had on the roster anymore. Even this team next year is going to be LeBron, AD, and Russ, and no one else is going to come back. No one else has a 2-year deal.
Look,
and the thing is,
LeBron,
I think he was a big part in why the team felt that they had to choose Westbrook, because over Vogel, who won a championship with them, because LeBron can't get rid of Westbrook either. But LeBron can get rid of Vogel, and you could hire someone else to fill his spot. Like you said, they could hire Vinny Del Negro, and LeBron is still going to be the one coaching most games. So it really doesn't matter. But I think for me, this is more on the team, on the franchise, not having a backbone to say, you know what, LeBron, this isn't it. We're just going to do what we got to do. So that's why I said I don't disagree with you. But my other viewpoint is not that them just being a bad franchise, because without LeBron, I don't think they're a bad franchise or a bad organization, I should say.
Historically, I'm with you. Yeah. Last 10 years.
Yeah. But it's all because of loyalty. They had loyalty to Kobe. Rightfully so.
Bro, but okay. Let's talk about loyalty to Kobe. I'm with you. Again, like, obviously you're going to be loyal to your star player. If anybody doesn't do that, like, that's a stain on the organization. Okay, yeah. You're loyal to Kobe. That's one of the things an organization is supposed to do when an aging superstar is on his way out.
Yeah.
Did they have a plan for Kobe's last few years? For the few years after Kobe? With any of the draft picks they took? Any of the coaching or management decisions they made?
I thought they made good draft picks. Personally, I thought their draft picks have been good.
It ruins it when you don't buy into any of them.
That's true. Yeah. That's true.
That, to me, again, we talked about this. All their guys have gone on to be better since leaving.
Yeah. So, all of them.
Bro, and the real culprit here is Jeannie Buss. Mm-hmm. And I know you saw, I think it was right after the season in the first round, she did some weird ass interview.
That podcast thing?
Yeah, it was like some columnist she talked to or some shit. But
yeah,
she exposed herself. She exposed herself. Goes back to loyalty. She goes, what happened is, I'm not quoting, what happened is obviously unacceptable. I'm going to make tough choices. But wait a minute. I also don't question Phil Jackson ever. I don't question Rob Pelinka ever. I don't question Kurt and Linda Rambis. God knows what the fuck they're doing there. So hold up. So after the disaster we just watched, you don't question anything going on, really?
Now, I'm gonna get killed for having Phil Jackson slander because he's a friend of the family, but he was never like. The coaches now have a lot more say in their roster than they did in the 90s. He
wasn't that guy.
Exactly. His job was just to coach the games. So I think Jeannie, I guess, believes that he can do other things than coach the game. That's not his expertise, not what he's trained in. That's not what he's ever been paid for, other than on the Knicks, which is a disaster. So I just wanted to make that point real quick.
And look, you're right. I think a lot of people have said that about Phil. Besides coaching, he has not shown the ability to be elite at any other level of like running an organization. So I don't understand. I don't understand why you're sitting there taking his word like it's fucking law.
Right. It is crazy that she does that. Yeah.
I mean, the shit she said, she even goes like Linda Rambis is my advisor. She doesn't have anything to do with basketball. Yet Linda Rambis is the one who like introduces the players to Los Angeles when they arrive.
Yeah.
That's not Linda working for the fucking Lakers.
Right. But dude, I'm completely with you. It's
Shit
not
show.
nepotism, but it's a good old boy system that they have there now. And it's been a disaster. I'm completely with you. It's been a disaster since Kobe was there. Really, since the Dwight Howard and Steve Nash trade was the first time I noticed, the Lakers are out of control. After that, it's just been a complete downhill decline since that year's situation. It really has.
Bro,
Everything has went downhill. And that
I
looks like
hate
the
to have
trade
to
of the century, by the way, when it happened.
Yeah, I hate to keep bringing up Kobe, but bro, Kobe wouldn't even stay at their fucking games after he retired.
I know.
Really? Like, and I heard people are like, oh, he's got like family shit. Why would he come to the fucking game? I've never heard of a soul on planet Earth say, I'm gonna go to the game and then dip out because I got shit to do.
And the other thing people don't understand is he doesn't have to sit on the floor. Most of the guys, the alumni or former players, go sit in the box with the owner, with the people who treated him right.
When they retired his number, he didn't stay for the whole game because the basketball display that was being put forth for the fan base was disrespectful. Yeah. Obviously, he won't say that. Obviously, we can't confirm that, but let's keep it as, again, there's no reason for him to just get up in the middle of the fucking game and leave.
I'm with you. You're right about that.
And then another point, Laker games were so bad. Kobe was bringing his kids to games and talking about the other team, the other players, because there's nothing interesting about the fucking Lakers.
They were taking pictures with the other players. Yeah.
100%. But because there's nothing interesting about the Lakers.
Yeah.
Again, I think Jeannie Buss is entirely to blame for this. And I think we'll get a repeat of what we just saw.
Thing is, man, I agree, but it's tough to go against LeBron, man. It's tough. Especially after you won a championship.
It's too late now. You're right.
No, it's too late. It's too late. It's too late now, but I'm saying early this season, mid-season, it's tough to say, you know what, LeBron, just I don't care what you say, it's not working. It's tough. He puts these teams in a stranglehold, dude.
But this is the first time he put a team together and he really made the final move of the roster, or the first big move of the roster. And it was one of the biggest mistakes ever.
This is the first time it's been a mistake.
Exactly.
It is.
Exactly. Yeah. So now, like, the Lakers, and I pray somebody one day asks LeBron how he chose Russ over DeRozan and Hield. Like, I don't know if we'll ever get that explanation. Probably not.
Yeah.
But this is, and again, the Lakers are another reason they're so trash is because they've embraced everything you said. What was the first thing they did when the season ended? They called out LeBron and company for running the fucking team. Yeah. What did they do middle of the season when the team was collapsing and everybody was trashing them? And I mean, they were just disaster every fucking day, every game they're getting destroyed. Oh, we can't do anything with Russ, LeBron. You got to stick it out. This is your choice.
Right.
Lakers went out of their way to say, hey, guys, this is LeBron's fault.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck if it is LeBron's fault. Everybody knows it is. LeBron is the best player on the fucking planet. Top 3 player of all time. He couldn't fucking play defense once out of 82 games.
And that's where him as the GM doesn't work, because he never makes moves to fill his weaknesses.
No.
Right? Because like Westbrook does the same thing LeBron does, just not as good most of the time. So he never says, yo, we need like Crowder to play defense on guys I'm not going to play defense on. It's always like, all right, let's just get whoever I want and I'll just figure out the rest. It just doesn't work. And the Lakers are definitely feeling the blowback of that. So I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
I think part of the problem is LeBron really doesn't. I don't think LeBron really cares.
No, he doesn't.
I think he's
LeBron's stat
comfortable.
chasing now.
He's beating Kareem next year, light work, he's good.
Yeah.
Maybe after he beats Kareem, if he's still healthy, he'll like force the Lakers to do something, or maybe they'll do something themselves, which would be nice, but
yeah.
No coach saves this mess.
Real quick, do you think the Kareem record is going to stand? And will LeBron's record is going to stand? Yeah. I think guys like Luka and Trey got a real shot at it. I mean, the points Luka puts up in his third year,
but bro,
Donovan is up there.
How many years do those guys have to last?
I don't think Luka will last as long as a Trey or Donovan.
Bro, Donovan limps out of every playoff run.
Yeah, but I'm thinking he doesn't have to do that forever. But is Luka going to be able to stay in shape for 15 years?
Bro, I don't think Trae Young will be able to dominate for 15 years.
We'll see. I mean,
I don't know. I'm not that's the one thing LeBron has over all these guys is he's dominated the league for way longer.
Yeah. And he's one of the few who can dominate. Time. He's one of the few who can dominate with another good player on his team too.
Right.
I'm not sure those three guys can do that.
Yeah, to LeBron's credit, like D Wade, Kyrie, none of those guys ever limited that he's a top 5 player of all time.
Exactly, yeah.
So
and the three guys I named that are young, putting up a lot of points. I mean, even Edwards, those guys, they may not be able to do that. They may not be able to play with another top 10 player in the league and still look like the better of the top 10 players in the league.
I mean, bro, if Tatum comprehended the concept of consistent basketball, he'd be in the conversation.
Yeah,
because he's an easy. If he could consistently score 25, like if he committed to the shot selection and he was eager to be an efficient player.
Yeah,
bro, I have no doubt on this Boston team he could average 30.
Yeah, I agree.
So a lot of guys are capable, but I don't think anybody's going to catch LeBron anytime soon.
I don't think so either. I was just posing the question. I was curious. I don't think so either. What else? What else do we have? Any more NBA? Oh, we agree Kenny Atkinson is the best.
Yeah.
Is the most likely.
I kind of hope Charlotte just sneaks him away. Charlotte.
I hope Charlotte gets a good coach, man.
Gets him in there.
There's a lot of good options out there. Mark Jackson, since he's actually putting his name out there, he's available. I think D'Antoni would be good for Charlotte. I kind of like how that sounds.
I think Mark Jackson is a good name for the Lakers.
Yeah, but
because he's a guy that they listen to.
He's not a finalist. I don't know why, but it is what it is. I was hoping he got the Sacramento job. Yeah.
But again, the Lakers, they're just so disgusting, bro. And they've let all the news that makes you look bad leak. Like the leak came out that they're talking to coaches about how they're gonna incorporate Russell Westbrook. I mean, that's you. That's literally, to me, that's you shouting, "It was our point guard's fault. New coach, are you gonna be able to fix what was wrong this season?"
But anyone who doesn't think that LeBron is in those meetings via conference call, via Zoom, anyone who thinks he's not there is an idiot. Because we know for a fact LeBron is heavily involved. And he probably is the one asking, how are you going to use Russ? Because it has to be to his liking. Because he'll probably say, oh, you're going to have him bring the ball up and he's going to be the guy looking for stats. No, I'm good. Next call. Who's at 3:00? That's probably what he's doing if he doesn't like it. Because he's the only one who can really gauge whether using Westbrook is going to work or not. Like, Jeannie Buss doesn't know. I mean, no offense to her, but she doesn't know anything about basketball as far as how they're going to use Russ. That doesn't matter to her.
What the fuck does Kurt Rambis know about how they're going to use Russ? And by the way, in that same interview I mentioned, she tried to flex how Kurt Rambis has been around the fucking game for years, and he's been a championship player, and he's been a champion as an assistant.
Like Jack Nicholson has been around the NBA game for 50 years. So what? I don't want to take any team advice from him either.
The fuck, dude? That shit was really crazy. Like, I'm gonna make the tough choices, but I trust everybody who feeds me fucking info. No problem.
Jack has probably been to more Lakers games than Kurt Rambis.
Kurt Rambis, bro.
Yeah. But like I said, LeBron is in those meetings. He's the one on the phone asking about the Westbrook thing. Because no one else in the organization would ask that. Nobody.
It just really bothers me that LeBron isn't embarrassed by what just happened to them.
You don't think he is?
Maybe privately he is. Maybe he'll come out and light it up, make a little early MVP case next year.
I hate when he does that. He probably will, but I hate when he does it. He comes out like, oh, go ahead.
I'm only watching the Lakers next year to see if AD and LeBron want to earn some respect. Because they lost a lot of that shit. AD lost pretty much all of it.
You know who lost the most of my respect this season? It's a wild one, so you may have to think about it.
Don't say one of their shitty ass role players.
Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo threw all the respect I had for him in the garbage this season. Why? Why did he go to the Lakers? For what reason?
Banana boat.
You didn't want to come back to New York, huh? Where we embraced you. We loved you, Carmelo. Portland gave you a shot when no one else in the league wanted you on the roster. The league deemed you like not an NBA player anymore, and Portland gave you a shot, and you just dip. You go to the Lakers and don't even make the play-in?
For LeBron.
Portland was like one game out of making the play-in. They were closer to making the play-in than the Lakers were.
Again, I thought they quit I thought All-Star break. They took the extra long weekend off, and then they quit.
Yeah.
Which was just ridiculous. But that to me is where, like, LeBron, your critics really only question whether you're a winner or not.
This season,
nobody, just in general, because the 2011 and 2014 and just a lot of finals L's.
Yeah.
But nobody questions his game, his production, any of the stats, obviously.
Right.
But you go out there and you don't even look like you care about going. I didn't see LeBron caring about going to the playoffs.
Not me either. I think you're right. That is all that's ever questioned, because this season he shot better than I've ever seen LeBron shoot. Like threes, jump shots, best I've ever seen LeBron shoot. I mean, nothing else has left his game. He got up as high as I thought, as he used to, it seemed like sometimes. As far as this season went, I don't think anyone questioned that he was still probably the best player in the league. I mean, I know some people throwing some other names out there, but if they're really being honest, LeBron is still the best player in the league. But like you said,
it's just crazy.
Does he want to win?
It's crazy because they quit on Russ first, and then they quit trying to win games second.
And it was only like 2 weeks apart, which was really dumb.
By
that point, what's the point?
It shows the leadership on the roster was just non-existent.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they were like fucking, I'm sure the locker rooms that Brooklyn had after their playoff disaster, after the multiple playoff, I'm sure the Lakers had those locker rooms like half the year, if not more.
So do you, even with the coaching talk, do you really believe Westbrook is going to be on the Lakers next season?
Yeah, they committed to him right away.
The full season?
Full season. I'm really confident that he's probably going to be worse. Which is just hard to imagine what that would look like. But yeah, I think he's going to be on the Lakers and he's going to make it. Is he part of the rotation? Maybe not.
You think they're gonna bench him, like John Wall style?
You have to, because Vogel was right in benching him, and you couldn't commit to that. Even though I love how they didn't commit to it, but when Vogel did it, it was the right call. We had to fucking make it.
I don't think Westbrook is as shot as most people think he is. I really don't. But
He's shot up here.
I'm not sure if he ever had it up there, to be honest with you. No offense.
Like,
no offense to him. Not saying he's dumb.
He's always made silly plays, but it's selfish now.
Yeah, maybe.
Like, it's just like just how disgusting his turnovers are, and for him to think I'm entitled to have the ball all the time, that's pure selfishness.
I really don't think his turnovers are any more disgusting. He's led the league in turnovers before he got to the Lakers multiple times.
Bro, but the team, like, I Tatum's turnovers are disgusting. Brown had the game where he had disgusting.
But they've never, I mean, Westbrook has averaged 5 turnovers a game. These guys get 5 turnovers. That's like the worst game in a while. Westbrook has averaged that. Like, that's
and
normal.
They're always gross. Have you ever not noticed Westbrook's turnovers?
I've always noticed them. That's why I'm saying this season hasn't been like his turnovers are worse than ever. But I mean, the OKC ones, he would throw it right to the other team a lot of times.
Nah, no way, bro. Not like this. I mean, he's throwing lobs that DeAndre Jordan has no hope of reaching.
He would throw Terrence Ferguson lobs and Steven Adams lobs when no one was there.
And Steven Adams caught them most of the time.
Bro, but he led the league in turnovers. That's all I'm saying. It's not like he's all of a sudden Westbrook turns the ball over. He's been doing that his whole career.
All right, you're right. Let's just, the turnovers have been consistent. You know what hasn't? The mid-range pull-up hitting the side of the fucking backboard and nothing else.
That's new. Yeah.
That is new. And the team, I mean, how demoralizing they look when Russ does dumb shit. I've never seen that before. Like honestly, they look like they can't not show their disgust.
In the wide open air balls from 3, that's bad. Yeah, don't get me wrong.
Holding the fucking follow through like that shit was a clean release all the time.
Don't get me wrong. He's playing terrible. I just don't think he's like. I just don't see his clock like out. I don't see that.
Well, I mean, if we're looking at he could come mostly these same guys, yeah. I mean, what the fuck are they gonna do?
They're not keeping most of these guys.
Yeah,
they really aren't.
I imagine because they're cheap and 1-year guys. Most of them.
I think Monk is probably the only guy that's coming back.
I just, like you said, bro. I need some fucking defensive players. I forgot what you were talking about, but you mentioned defensive players at one point.
I said LeBron never recruits for his weaknesses. Yeah,
and like. I mean, they got Stanley Johnson, and he gave them a combined like week's worth of defense, and that got him a permanent spot on the team. Just think about that. He played defense.
I refuse to believe Vogel is that crazy.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think Vogel was in charge of shit like this.
I cut him a little bit of slack because they had guys hurt like every game this season. Like, and it was just random people. Ellington is missing 10 games. Like, I didn't even see Ellington get hurt, but he's out for however long. Ariza, Ariza was hurt every month, it felt like. And then he didn't even start the season off with him. Avery Bradley, I never knew where he was, when he was going to play or if he wasn't. And I would
all those guys
seem like game time, they'd say, seemed like his games were always game time decisions, whether he was playing or not. He'd play one game, then 5 minutes before the game, Avery Bradley isn't starting tonight.
I just like Ariza and Bradley, they're not in the league to make shots.
I'm gonna be honest.
Yet,
Good.
Stanley Johnson gave more defensive effort than they did.
The biggest problem with this team, they had a bunch of guys that really don't want to play. Anthony Davis, I've seen Anthony Davis quit on his team, sit out half a season. Cool. Westbrook, I think Westbrook likes to play, but I think Westbrook makes too much money. I don't think he
cares about the outcome at all.
Yeah, I think he got spoiled a while back. Maybe his MVP year got spoiled, and now he really doesn't care about what happens in the game as long as he gets paid. Ariza has quit on his team multiple times. Bradley has quit on his team. He quit on this team in the bubble.
Yeah. As did Ariza, I believe.
Right. Ariza was on Portland and quit on Portland in the bubble. Melo, I think Melo loves to play, and it's more of like a like proving that he can play is why he plays. But I don't think Melo's done everything in his career. I don't think he really feels like he has anything to prove from like winning games. So, I mean, and Dwight Howard, we've questioned if Dwight wanted to play since he left Orlando 15 years ago. So
yeah, he got his title.
Yeah, so I think it's a lot of guys who playing is cool, but do I really want to play? Let's just go out there and let's just earn our paycheck.
You know, somebody made a good point, and we could close it out on this.
Yeah.
Somebody who I talk to about basketball who's not, and like they'll tell you they just watch. They don't play. They're not like a super detailed fan. They just watch. They like basketball. They watch it.
Yeah.
He made the point, if LeBron wasn't on the Lakers, they'd be the laughing stock of the basketball. And what makes it worse, because they were just disgusting. They couldn't guard anybody. Just this year, I mean.
Yeah.
They would have been Westbrook was already a laughing stock. AD's pretty much there as well.
Yeah.
LeBron was there, and they were still almost they still pretty much were the fucking laughing stock by the end of the year.
Yeah.
They had one of the 3 greatest basketball players to ever fucking touch the sport, and we're a laughing stock. And you could, obviously that's a knock on LeBron. That's a knock on the Lakers.
They had 3 top 75 players.
And they were a fucking laughing. You battle the year, like injuries, any competent reason for why you missed the playoffs, I got no problem.
They're our only team currently in the league with 3 top 75 players.
They quit. And like you said, it doesn't even look like a lot of them want to play.
Right. Did Kyrie make top 75?
No. I don't think he did. Shout out to whoever
that's why he had
put him on there.
That's why he felt like he deserved to be on there. I mean, felt like he had to tell people he's one of the best and he thinks he's top 75. But good thing you don't get a vote, Kyrie. Anyway, I think that is it for us. French Open has started. Djokovic is back. Nadal is back.
Who's the young guy, man, who was killing him at Madrid?
Yeah, I don't remember the name. I kind of felt like I needed a palate cleanser from tennis for a while, to be honest. Just because all the drama, a lot of people are hurt. And now we're at a place where, mark my words on this, by the way, I know it's late. People probably turned us off. Medvedev, Zverev, and Tsitsipas will be the next big 3 of tennis, men's. It's not a hot take, but you heard it here first. They'll be the new Djokovic, Nadal, and Federer, probably, maybe next year. The way Djokovic is acting a fool as far as
just from having
everything he's doing.
I'm not like a tennis expert because I only watched it heavily. I would say from like 2008 to 2012.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys who look like they're next.
Yeah.
And they don't live up to that.
Right.
I thought when I was watching tennis a lot, I thought there were so many. I thought Tsonga was going to be a guy. I thought Murray was going to be the guy. I thought Roddick had a chance to be the guy.
Tsonga.
Yeah, bro. You don't remember him?
I know. I
Wilfred,
know him.
Joe
He
Wilfred, I think
retired.
was his name.
He retired today.
Really? That's crazy. That's really
He said
crazy.
this was going to be his last tournament. He got out in the first round. Oh man.
No, I liked him a lot. It's because he was like in the top, because a lot of the guys are good enough to stay in the top 10 and they're good enough to compete with like 10-3. And then 3-1 just wipes the floor with them every time, bro.
Yeah,
bro. Djokovic used to fucking beat Tonga like it wasn't even a good match.
It wasn't.
That shit made me so mad. But I just think
Djokovic got rid of a
tennis,
lot of the guys you're talking about. The young guys that look like Nishikori has had moments. He's still playing, but
you remember
he had moments like, oh, could he dethrone? No.
Who was the
No,
countryman from Federer's country?
Wawrinka?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. For like a year, he looked unbeatable.
Wawrinka gets hurt a lot, though. I think he had like Tommy
does.
Johns in his arm or something.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's another problem is their injuries are common.
Yeah.
And just off of those doubts, I think out of the three, I'll probably say you'll probably get one right. I don't think you're going to go 3 for 3.
These guys, well, Medvedev, I'll argue Medvedev's already there. So he's not a surprise because he just won the Olympics. But Tsitsipas and Zverev, they're tough, man. I mean, they're really, 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 really good. But the thing is, they're not going to be anything until Djokovic and Nadal stop playing. So I'm not saying like there's going to be a passing of the torch.
That's the problem. Djokovic has been resting a lot, so he might have in a couple of years, refreshed years.
Yeah. Remember, Nadal never finishes the year and never finishes a full year healthy.
Medvedev and Zverev they've been close for a number of years.
Yeah.
And I think that's the first step. You got to remain close, and then there will be a specific tournament where just the dominoes will fall. You'll match up with one of them, and hopefully we'll see.
Because I remember when Agassi stopped playing, and then it was time for Federer. Like you said, it was Federer, Roddick, and Nadal were the three. And then I think Roddick had some crazy injury too, but he fell off, and then Djokovic took his spot. But it was Agassi was way better than all of them. It was Agassi and Federer, and then Nadal crept up when Agassi stopped. It's always 3. That's the thing. It's always 3.
And everybody who gets in the 3 has to like earn it.
Yeah, they do.
Every single one. I'm thinking back, Djokovic like had to be 4 and 5 for a long time before he got in.
Yeah,
I remember
he definitely paid his dues.
I remember a guy like Murray was a guy, he eventually got in it, and then injuries just completely told him no. But
and he kind of I won't say he was lucky, but he was older when he was doing that. Like most of those other guys, like Zverev and Tsitsipas and
early
Medvedev,
20s.
yeah. Murray was like 28, almost 30 by the time he started like getting good enough to be ranked top 3.
Yeah,
but he was always in the mix. But when he started winning, he was already like.
But I don't know tennis well enough. I don't know tennis well enough. Like 15, 20 years ago, were they letting like 17, 18-year-olds, prodigies get in the fucking opens like easily? Because I feel like now if you're like a 16-year-old prodigy, they lob you up a spot to emerge if you can.
It's how you win like the minor tournaments.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Eisner he's from North Carolina, I think.
Yeah, Sky High. What was he like 6'9"?
He was really young when he was like competing. I remember Eisner was like a kid, and it was weird, but it wasn't like that uncommon. It was just
No, I'm
like,
with
yo,
you.
this kid is like 6'6", and he's out here beating, some of the best players. And then Djokovic was
Except
pretty
Jokic.
young, because Djokovic, he was pretty young at first. I mean,
But you
obviously
remember,
young
like,
at first, but
Djokovic wasn't. He was like on the verge for a number of years.
yeah, because Nadal and Federer were just beating everybody, man.
Federer was just different.
Djokovic paid his dues. He did.
For sure.
Djokovic really was. He got it out the mud, as they would say, and then he was just so dominant after that. But he definitely wasn't someone that just all of a sudden his first tournament he was winning. It took him a couple years, and I always rooted for him, but it took him a couple years to start. He would beat somebody high, and then he'd get to the semifinals and he'd lose, or he would he'd get seeded against somebody like a number one really early, and then he'd get knocked out, and then he
Yeah.
just wouldn't get to the end.
I remember watching Djokovic and like damn, I need that shirt. I like that
Yeah.
shirt. It looks so comfy, so like
His gear is
colorful.
always fire. His
Yeah.
gear is
Even when
always
he
been
wasn't
crazy.
even when he wasn't a GOAT, he looked tough on the tennis court.
And he's like one of the few that has changed his endorsements every time.
Yeah.
Like Nadal and Federer have been Nike forever, but Djokovic was. I want to. Did he start with Adidas? I forgot who he started with. Then he went to Ticini, and now he's with Lacoste. But he has switched so many times. He never built that brand like Federer and Nadal did. I don't know why he never got a Nike deal. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he switched up coaching too, probably
Yeah.
different reasons.
And then with Serena being gone now, like the women's tennis is, it seems like a lot of women are retiring early, like retiring in their prime for some reason. So that's kind of tough. It's like a complete cleanse of the top female tennis players. So it's kind of tough. Kind of tough.
Yeah.
Kind of tough to get back into it because now you're watching a bunch of people you don't know, and the names. It's hard to remember all the names that are different languages and stuff. So,
I do think tennis is harder for a casual fan to get into now than it was 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah. And the thing is, women have been dominated by the Williams last name for my whole lifetime. Yeah, pretty much. So with women, definitely it's tougher because now you're like, you don't know who to look at. Osaka lost already first round. So like all the people you recognize from TV, from ads and stuff, they're not even winning. So that's
like
tough.
Osaka is one who had the potential, but for various reasons hasn't been able to sustain it.
Yeah.
I think sustaining greatness is so underrated for athletes, I think.
It is, especially in those individual sports.
Oh,
the
yeah.
mental toughness in those individual sports is so different, man. I mean, mental toughness in team sports is tough also because someone is always coming for your spot. But if you're a great player, you're just a great player. But being a great player in individual sports, man, you have no one on your team. You don't, I mean, it's not really a coach. It's no strategy. It's just straight talent. Yeah. And that's tough, man.
To
it's
me,
tough to have that on your shoulders.
And that knowing how at least my personality is, I would put an excessive amount of stress on myself because, like you said, it's all me. It comes down to me.
It is. Yeah.
I have that luxury in basketball to, lean on a teammate or do something different. In tennis, you got to figure that shit out.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of, I think that kind of that could really get to you.
It can. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, Osaka is one of those, and I'm not bashing mental health or anything, but she's one of those that there's no question about her skills. Her talent is no question. It was always about whether she can deal with it mentally. Yeah. And it is what it is. But that's the problem with a lot of the tennis players, I think. And Americans just have never been good in tennis. Like men. will be good for 2 years, and
Soccer's
James
the
Blake
same way.
was good for a little while. Eisner still has been like in the 20s his whole career of rankings. Roddick was good for a second. We had a female tennis player that was, I forgot her name, but she was good for a little while. They just don't last because it's like just like basketball. The Europeans learn different fundamentals than us, and we go over there and get waxed. So
yeah.
Anyway, tennis tangent for those who stuck around. But that is it for us today. Thank you for listening. We will be back definitely before the finals. We'll see how long the Boston series goes. If Boston goes to 7, maybe we'll come back before game 7. Looking forward to the finals, man. Regardless of who comes out the East, I'm looking forward to it.
I'm more focused on who's coming out the East. I need to see who does that.
Yeah, because what is it? 188-0 of up 3-0.
Yeah.
Something ridiculous like that.
Yeah. With Dallas, I would be interested, like if they do the Toronto thing and they get to 6.
Yeah.
I'd definitely like be interested to see 6. But these next 2-3 games, I'm not really pressed to see if there's even that many.
Yeah, I'm with you. Anyway, thank you for listening. New merch is on the way on our site. I'll post about that when it happens. Make sure you subscribe, share, hit us up, comment, leave stars, all that good stuff, all the streaming platforms. Again, thanks for listening, and we will see you guys next time.